Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast, the number one source for news, analysis, and discussion on the Detroit Red Wings, the NHL, and all things hockey. Here are your hosts, Ryan Hanna, Brad Crisco, and Evan Lopsinger.
You're at goal 499. You have the puck on your stick with an empty net. Are you shooting it or passing it off? I know we did this with the OV goal record thing, but different, I think, for goal 500. Are you...
Depends how long I've been stuck there. So for Patrick Kane, it was about 25 minutes.
Right.
But if I'm stuck there for a few games and it's like kind of eating away at me, I'm absolutely clapper bar down, empty net goal to get 500.
How about you, Brad?
Context is important. If that game is in Vancouver and I'm Patrick Kane, I'm passing it right back to DeBrincat. At home, I'm putting it in the net.
Good point.
I think I can get behind the clapper. Make it a trick shot at least. Like flip it 100 feet.
Do a Michigan.
You just get blown up by the other team for trying to pull a trick shot. Or you pull an Abby Murphy and just try a sick deke between a defender's legs for absolutely no reason.
That was the nastiest assist I've ever seen in my life, full stop.
I saw that and I was like, if that happened to me as a defenseman, you'd have no choice but to go to the bench and say, what am I supposed to do about that? And the next time you're out on a shift, you just straight two-hander to the ankles. Like, I'm sorry, I'm wrong for doing this. This is a terrible thing to do, but unfortunately, you've left me no choice because that clip is going to live on in infamy. And one day, my kids are going to see that and know that I was the sucker in that clip. Like, that was nasty. That was the nastiest move I've ever seen put on a defender.
I don't want to sidetrack the Kane thing too much, but if your creativity level involves, you know what I'm going to do on this rush? I'm going to basketball dribble a hockey puck through the defenseman's legs, and then you do it? I don't care if she never plays another game in her life. Put her in the Hall of Fame.
That was an act of terrorism against defensemen everywhere. Anyhow, the Red Wings are rolling on despite the rest of the Atlantic forgetting how to lose. So thank God the Red Wings won their two games.
Except for one team. They remembered how to lose.
Except for one team. It is bad right now in Ottawa.
I was thinking Montreal.
Oh, yeah. Well,
both the French teams are losing.
I should have known where your mind would have been.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah. And on and off the ice in Ottawa, it's a special time as it tends to be. All right. Well, here to revel in that and enjoy the Red Wings wins and talk to you about all things Detroit Red Wings hockey, the world of the NHL, and lots more. Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Hanna.
I'm Brad Crisco.
And I'm Evan.
On this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast, we're going to be covering the two Detroit Red Wings games that have happened, both of them wins, including Patrick Kane's 500th career goal as Showtime finally hits that benchmark, a huge win over the Montreal Canadiens, and more. And then we're going to get into trade rumors across the NHL as more is swirling around the Red Wings. What's real in terms of, what's out there on Rasmus Andersson, what we've been hearing, as well as opportunities potentially as the Devils and Dougie Hamilton are looking like they might be headed for a divorce. We're going to get into more news from the Red Wings organization and then what's happening in the world of the NHL and international hockey and lots more. Very quickly, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast. If you want to support the show, you get access to benefits like our bonus overtime episodes, which record right after these main ones. We let loose, we have fun, and you get thoughts with Evan and a ton of other things. It's a good time. You also get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord, and you're automatically entered into all of our giveaways. For example, we give away 2 tickets to every Detroit Red Wings home game directly to our Patreon supporters. So again, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast. Stick around at the end of the episode. We have some housekeeping items, including Winged Wheel Podcast Night at the LCA in March, tickets, and how to get them. They're up now. Okay, let's jump into it. The Red Wings played Vancouver at home, which was, a reprieve from an Eastern Conference matchup, but still an important game because, as we mentioned, no one in the Atlantic knows how to lose. And it was a game that the Red Wings should win. Like, Vancouver is a struggling team, and they were off their game that night. The start was slow. The start was quite poor, but all in all, I think the Red Wings recovered well, and it was a good effort. And it resulted in a 5-1 win. We're obviously going to talk about Patrick Kane and his 2 goals to reach 500, but you can't be mad about that effort for the Red Wings, especially coming off of what was a, frankly, bad 3 games, the first 2 against Pittsburgh and then the win against Ottawa to start 2026.
Well, one theme continued, and Max and you and Prashanth got some stats to back it up, where the Red Wings just tend to not play the first 10 minutes of a game.
Mm-hmm.
And against a team like Vancouver, where calling a spade, the Red Wings are a significantly better team than. I would have liked to have seen them come out of the gate a little bit better than they did, but they did settle in and look like the far superior team, which they were.
So scoring started on the 2-man advantage at the end of the first. Patrick Kane goes short side to score a goal of .499, and that was nice for Detroit to walk away with the lead heading into the intermission. And then it was more of what we've been seeing recently. JVR continues to be a big factor in terms of not just Detroit's depth, that's almost minimizing it recently, just producing goals for guys who need to break out of a slump, in big moments in games. He's all over the ice. He sets up ASP, who rips home his 5th of the season. Compher assisting on that goal as well. And then after that, J.T. Compher scores his 5th of the season, and that was the James van Riemsdyk turnaround backwards pass to Compher in front, showing himself up from even earlier. Detroit goes up 3-1, and that was, the last of Vancouver getting anywhere close to the game. Van Riemsdyk, if it wasn't for Patrick Kane's 500th, he's the player of the game in my mind, deserves so much attention and credit. I feel like this is the 10th straight episode we've been talking about him, but that's a guy who continues to just be one of the best value adds for the Red Wings. And if you look at Detroit's results this season, where you're like, okay, they won that game, but they didn't play their best, or their best players aren't scoring 5-on-5, but they're still managing to get offense on the board. Oftentimes, JVR is a key facet in papering over that or bridging those gaps and making sure that the team is still getting results.
We've spent 10 years talking about what a big deal depth scoring is, and we've seen it in flashes, often with warts attached. I'm looking at you, Daniel Sprong. Just the consistency of JVR ever since he got it going, because he had a pretty slow start to the season, wasn't doing a whole heck of a lot, but just whatever clicked for him, it's unreal. And this is another one of those guys where if you want to talk about how a guy and how you succeed in the NHL, it's hockey IQ. Good God, is he slow. Every once in a while, you see him rip off a bit of a rush, but I think he looks like he's going faster than he actually is because he's trying so hard. But just so smart, so aware of what's going on around him. He gets the puck in traffic. There's no panic. He knows where everybody is. Like you said on that pass, little backhand pass, how many guys that even see that play, right? So just having a guy like JVR down there who, for lack of a better term, can pull a goal out of his ass and get the team on the board, or give the team a goal in a situation where, it's a 2-1 game at that point. 2-2 versus 3-1 is a massive difference. So it's good having someone like that down the lineup where just at any moment can make something happen.
Shows up to the next game dressed as Batman as well. So
I was going to say he is Bruce Wayne. So we should have known all along.
Looks exactly like him.
Yes, I would say so.
When I see Christian Bale and JVR, I'm like, that.
It's a mirror. So just looking in a mirror. No, it's good. And yeah, JVR is definitely not a transition player anymore in his career, but man, you get that guy anywhere in the offensive zone below the hash marks, he is lethal, whether it's, scoring or dishing off to teammates. He absolutely has found his role on this team.
So you go through the third period. Vancouver is very obviously not going to get back in this game. And everyone is looking at Patrick Kane. Even Ken and Mickey were both saying it as the net was empty for quite a while for Vancouver as well. They were looking for Kane. Cop finds him, and Patrick Kane steps in, and you could hear in the arena the anticipation. You could hear Mickey say his, "Look at this." You could hear Ken brace for it. Also, it was really cool that they put out the video of Ken and Mickey at work in the gondola, the behind the scenes of how they made that legendary call. And then Patrick Kane scores his 500th career goal. Showtime does it on an empty net, and you can see him celebrating after. It's like, you're not upset about it, you're not mad about it, but he's laughing. He's like, yeah, of course it was going to be on an empty net. Of all the legendary moments he's had, not just in his career, but specifically with the Red Wings, scoring in overtime in Chicago, that all-time great call from Ken Daniels, the magical moments that he's had and just cemented the Red Wings as a genuine part of his legacy. so many times you're like, they call him Showtime, and it really does feel like all of these moments are scripted. He's not, you can't say he's aura farming or anything like that. Like so much has to go his way, but hockey poetry is written around that guy. And then for his 500th career goal, it's an empty netter. He's like, yeah, well, I guess that's me paying the price for all the sweet moments earlier.
He would have passed that off if he could have, I think, but there was nobody else around and he made sure of it. So, you know what? You take him any way you can, I guess, even if you've got 500.
If it was 4-1 instead of 3-1, he might have tried to pass it. Maybe. No, that's probably stupid, but 3-1, you have to shoot that.
It was at home too, and I think he even mentioned beforehand that he'd like to do it at home. So at least it had that advantage going to it, because the home crowd just gives you so many cool angles to it. I thought the coolest thing of the whole play, it wasn't even the goal. It was, like you said, the net was empty for a bit there. Whatever line was out there before Kane's line got out was out there for like a minute or so. And then when he jumped over the boards with the empty net, you could hear it in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could hear it on the broadcast. Oh, here he goes. So everybody knew what was at stake in the build-up, and then Booyam's just standing there with the puck for 10 seconds for whatever reason. And just fires it to Andrew. Well, didn't fire to, misfired. Ends up on Andrew Kopp's stick. So just the whole rise in anticipation until it went in the net was such a cool moment. Yeah, it's a little anticlimactic, given that it was the empty net, but the whole build-up to it in that 10 to 15 second span made it so worth it.
You think Todd asked him if he wanted it?
I would have to imagine, yeah.
He's like, well, I'll put you out there if you want it. Do you want it?
Yeah.
I'm sure he said yes. He wasn't forced against his will to go out there.
And Kaner's probably the type of guy too, if Todd's like, all right, Kopp, DeBrincat, Kane, you're up. Kane would turn around. Nah.
He's already has his skis undone.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rich of me to say, oh, do you want that or not? No, you're not going to tempt the hockey gods like that. Like, you're not going to pass up the goal. You have to do it. I liked what he said after the game, too. Obviously, I had a first act to my career with a different team, but I'm so happy to do this in a Red Wings uniform. With all the history in this organization and the class here, it's really an incredible feeling, and I couldn't be more proud to wear this jersey.
Two parts of that are really cool to me. One, he completely ignores the New York Rangers.
Yeah, I mean, that was
fair.
a pit stop.
And two, he doesn't even call the Blackhawks by name. Just another team.
Well, if they wanted him, they should have kept him.
I agree. And the petty part of my soul wanted to send that to every Blackhawks fan I knew.
Yeah. That has to feel like a dagger. Like every time this happens, like daggers.
Chelsea dagger?
Nice. That's very good. As usual, that's why you two are here, because my brain did not even go there and it was my words. But for Blackhawks fans, that's got to be killer to see. But for Red Wings fans, like, what a sick moment that is. And the entire saga to date, like, rebuild sucked, man. Like, this has been a tough 10 years, and everyone's going to say from other fan bases, like, oh, Detroit was the winningest franchise in modern history, or they've had no lack of success, and you had playoffs for this many years.
The low's been pretty low, though. I don't think there's a lot of other franchises that can relate to how dark and down the low really was.
Exactly. And like in the modern NHL, unless you're winning Macklin Celebrinis and more, you're not getting out of those lows fast at all. And Detroit's had to take the long, methodical way out, and that's been tough on fans. Like, by and large, with very few detours or minor detours in another direction, the team has been getting incrementally better year over year here, but the frustration at points from the fan base has been outpacing that. So you need things like this. You need these moments. Like, this is very reminiscent of the Red Wings that we grew up with, where these kinds of things would happen and it'd be expected that you'd have great players on this team. So like, what a story it's been the entire time. And for Patrick Kane to move up that leaderboard, and you see the list of guys in front of him who have scored more goals, the American-born players in NHL history. Like, he can move up a few more spots there. So hopefully that's not the end of it, and there's plenty more massive moments for Ken to call.
He's right behind Brett Hall. He'll catch him momentarily. He's only, 240
something?
Yeah, 241 goals behind him.
I say he does it.
I think so too.
Probably not by the end of this season, but maybe by like mid next season.
Okay, that's fair.
And then at the end of the game, it was like a Vancouver encapsulated moment. The goalie's back in the net. Canuck in his own zone has the puck, trips, falls. Was that Sherwood?
Yeah,
Yes.
Kiefer Sherwood.
Dumped himself, puck squirts out. Lucas Raymond, who was in the zone, because Vancouver carried it back in their own zone. Raymond was like, all right, sweet, takes that, fires it home. That's a 5-on-5 goal, baby. And the Red Wings actually end up winning 5-1. And again, not a perfect effort, but a big improvement over what we saw the previous game against Ottawa. Similar win. You scored 5 goals and you won in regulation, but I thought that was a much better effort at home and a good sign, because we talked last episode of the sky isn't falling for the Red Wings, but you still have to stave off these red flags. After that game, there were some minor updates. The Red Wings sent down John Leonard to the AHL as they preserved their flexibility with him. Any longer, they'd have to use waivers to send him down, and I don't think John Leonard's clearing waivers at this point with how he's played. So he goes down. They later called up Sheldon Dries just as the extra for the weekend against the Montreal Canadiens. Didn't factor into the lineup, but that was just what they did in terms of their roster moves. And then they head into Montreal for, it feels silly to say, but one of their biggest games all year. And I would probably say in terms of actual impact on the playoff race, maybe the biggest game all year, bar none.
It's very akin to Columbus outdoor game last year? Oh my
yeah.
God. And it also feels a lot like the Ottawa games 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Man, it's impossible.
I think
you were bad at this before, and then you had a kid.
Yeah.
I think the Ottawa debacle was 3 years ago. It was another Montreal debacle 2 years ago, and then it was a Columbus debacle last year.
Yeah. We need a timeline of pain here.
Yeah, we do. But it felt very much like that. Like, it's Saturday night at the Bell Center. Like, that is a marquee matchup regardless of standings. And with how tight the Atlantic is and continues to be, and we'll obviously talk about that, like, we've talked about this. You have to beat your divisional opponents this year to separate. The Western Conference isn't doing it. That's a disaster. From, if you're not in the top 3 in the West, you're a terrible team. So it was basically all on Detroit to get a win and separate from Montreal.
This was a few days ago, so I'm sure it's not true anymore, but I haven't checked today. There was a point recently where first place in the Pacific Division would not have been in a playoff spot in the East.
I believe it.
Like, that's insanity.
Hold on. That is... no, they get in on a fewer games played thing. But they are, a few days ago, they would have been 5th in the Atlantic. And as of today, they are 5th in the Atlantic.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But we'll get more into that. So Detroit plays Montreal, and they are in Quebec. They're at the Bell Center. It's a big game. That's a big crowd to play in front of, and Montreal is a high-flying team. I posted before that game, I think it was after the win against Vancouver, it was like Detroit had a 7-2-1 record in their last 10, a 750 points percentage, and that was 4th best in the division at that time. Montreal is one of those teams who was flying high, and a big game and a really, really good test, because the Red Wings need separation. Like you said, Evan, those are those 4-point games that you can't afford to lose. Detroit lost a couple to Buffalo, which they thought, okay, that doesn't really matter because it's Buffalo. Buffalo's still, I think this is the 4th straight episode. Buffalo still, if they win all their games in hand, they're catching up to Detroit. So these games matter. And much like the Vancouver game, I don't think it was a perfect effort. I think they allowed more opportunities against than what you'd want. Still, you saw some moments right off the hop where the start wasn't exactly what you'd want at different points. But by and large, in terms of having realistic expectations for that game, being on the road, how good of a team Montreal is, I really liked the way Detroit locked it down top to bottom. And once again, John Gibson, who only allowed 1 against Vancouver, that's a guy who didn't get enough credit, as we just talked about that game, shut out the Montreal Canadiens this game. So it was a team effort. Detroit got contributions from all their best players. They got, I think, really good lockdown defense, and John Gibson shut the door when things didn't go Detroit's way on the ice. So very complete game for the Red Wings, although not literally complete, just overall, the sum of what they put together was more than enough in a tough scenario.
This is a good example about how the Red Wings' minor changes have made a big difference. We talked about the debacles of previous years where the Red Wings found ways to lose important games exactly like this. And I agree. I thought the Red Wings played well. against Montreal. I wouldn't call it a masterpiece, though. They, especially in the third period, they gave up a few too many 10-bell chances for you to feel comfortable, even with a 3-0 lead. But they did just enough. They had just enough on the roster to be able to do what they needed to do and get the win. Whereas in previous years, it felt like they were just short. Like the shortcomings are what really reared their head in these games and made the difference. Whereas in this one, not that they're a dramatically different team, but they have just enough. They have a goaltender who's not going to win a Vezina, but he's a clear upgrade on what they had.
Whoa.
Sorry, I hate the burst.
Why would you look at Ryan when you said that? That's a shot.
Yeah.
You're really going to go against... I'm riding high right now. I haven't even done my... John Gibson is the next 5 segments, just as a spoiler.
Ryan, you're ruining my reverse jinx joke here, because either he wins the Vezina, we're all happy and you're right, or he doesn't and you look like an idiot and we're all still happy.
It's a win-win for me.
Exactly. So, but he's a clear upgrade. Edvinsson on that top pair, and him and what Satter are doing, again, just brings a different element to what they were providing last year. Sandin-Pellikka is another capable puck mover, even if he's not a huge difference maker defensively. Contributions from the depth scoring, because you can't count on Raymond and Larkin to score every single goal, though they got pretty close this game. It's just felt like they've crossed that threshold of, I don't know how to properly summarize it, but they were just short last year, and the changes they made were just enough to cross that threshold.
I really like the way you're phrasing that, because it's not like they turned into Colorado this year.
Yeah.
They didn't. They still have a lot of the same issues. It's just, it feels like a lot of them are mitigated. They're smaller. The holes like you've seen. Okay, the Red Wings need another top 4 defenseman, or oftentimes you're like, yeah, you need more top 6 scoring help, but it's not so loud where it's like, yeah, they lost another 5 games because of it.
They have ways to overcome them now.
The disasters have been mostly mitigated, and they haven't come at the most critical moments of the season. Whereas previously, like against Ottawa, they could not lose those games if they wanted to make the playoffs. Well, Ottawa beat them, and they also destroyed them mentally. Whereas now the Red Wings are kind of figuring out how to deal with that and put together wins.
Yeah. So the Red Wings open scoring in the second period. It was a very lucky break for Lucas Raymond. Once again, very opportunistic. And Raymond, to this point, it's not like it was the first thing he'd done all game. He hit the post a couple times. I thought he was looking really active and involved in the offensive chances. It was looking, downright dangerous out there. I was like, this looks like Lucas Raymond, who is destined to score this game. And he did. And it was off yet again, second time in recent memory. The puck hits the stanchion, takes a weird bounce, pops right in front. Lucas Raymond capitalizes on that, and then he scores. Once again, that's a 5-on-5 goal. We count those. Another fortunate moment that Raymond capitalized on, and I think that was not that Detroit needed it to change the tone of the game, but I thought it was like
that kind of takes the energy out of the crowd a little bit. A really bad break. Doesn't really matter how the game's been going, and the road team's the one who capitalizes on it. And, Montreal fans are always very fair weather, very even keels. So naturally, it didn't lead to them all getting all poopy pants. So Montreal could build upon it. But yeah, it was fortunate break for Detroit.
I thought Detroit also did really well to stay disciplined. Like Montreal took penalty after penalty after penalty, way more than Detroit took all game, obviously. And it was, as Montreal fans were mad about it, but you looked at the penalties, you're like, yeah, there was a dumb infraction to take or a too many men penalty. And I'm sure you can zero in on the micro calls that weren't called against Detroit, but by and large, Detroit was the far more disciplined team that game. And you can see Montreal getting frustrated. Dylan Larkin converts on the power play. They're only one of the game power play goal. They went 1 for 5 on the PP, but Dylan Larkin scored from DeBrincat and Sider. It was a nice play. And then in the third period, Alex DeBrincat scored a puck that squirted in front. Nobody covering the highest danger area on the ice. Is that Lane Hudson who put that puck in front accidentally?
I think Kane got a stick on it. I think it was I'll assume it was Hudson's feet, but whatever defender it was for Montreal, and Kane kind of got a poke in there and knocked it to the middle. And, poor Jacob Fowler just, who's that? The best goal scorer on the Red Wings walking into a clapper unimpeded in the middle of the slot?
Happy Gilmoreing a puck
That's what I'm going to do to Sebastian Cossa.
And then he's going to kill you.
Yes.
He's going to fire his blocker horizontal and it's going to hit your face because he's so tall.
Yes.
DeBrincat scores his 23rd of the season. Detroit goes up 3-0. Andrew Kopp makes it 4-0 on the empty net. Great effort from Alex DeBrincat to give him the puck. Kopp buries that, and it was a 4-0 game. Alex DeBrincat finishes with a goal and 2 assists. A shutout, third of the season for John Gibson, who is now above a .900 save percentage, ladies and gentlemen.
It's insane.
Redemption.
You're still wrong, but it's an improvement.
I am less wrong
That's
with
true.
each passing day.
Yep. Every shutout is you look a little less dumb.
And that's a monumental task on this show. The day we put this show on YouTube and the day we upgraded to a 4K camera were terrible days for me and the viewers.
Yes.
You'll have to go back and listen. I could have sworn my bold prediction that I thought was dumb might also hit at this point. Because didn't I have Seider being a Norris finalist?
Oh, you did? Maybe Evan's the stupid one.
I don't even remember what I said.
There's no chance you remember what you
convinced
said.
me of anything.
I think his
we
was
need
actually
to gaslight Evan more.
No, I think his was actually Patrick Kane was going to score his 500th against Vancouver.
That's right.
Yeah. So.
Well, the tough part is
specifically on an empty net.
The tough part is he then did say he was going to score 250 more goals to pass Brett Hull by the end of the year. So
There's still time.
That was pretty stupid of Evan.
There's still time. What, to think that he was only going to score 250 more?
Yeah.
Yeah,
why are you so down?
Guys.
There's a few people online who will have your
Well, that doesn't include playoff goals, so
right.
Factor that in.
The Red Wings a 4-0 win, and like we said at the top of the game recap, not a complete game, but you got what you needed from the team. And let's talk about John Gibson for a moment here. He's like, this isn't fluky. Like, he is playing a more solid, settled game. I think he is still the style of goaltender he is. Like, oftentimes you see him fighting off the puck, but it's less scrambly. It's much less fear-inducing for the viewer, for sure. Like, he looks in control in his net. He looks up to speed. This is a wildly different John Gibson than what we saw at the start of the season. And I think the cause for concern at the start of the season was justified. Like, we were watching this going,
there's some soft goals going in at the start of the year.
But, like, okay, he's not going to let in just one or no goals every single game. I think it's 11 of his last 14, Ken said on the broadcast. He let in 3 or fewer, something to that effect. Even in games where he doesn't look absolutely perfect, he's getting most of the job done. And in a lot of games lately, he's been great and downright stealing games.
That's part of the discussion, or the thing Brad was trying to summarize as well, right? Like, if Gibson or the goaltending tandem can give up 3 or less goals per game, the Red Wings are always going to have a chance to win.
And that's what they've been given. Like, if you look at their Ottawa game, are they winning that game without great goaltending? No. Yeah, they won by a good bit against Vancouver and Montreal, but you can see game flows in those games where if the goaltending wasn't there and those teams got on them early, which they were very capable of doing, you could see things snowballing away from the Red Wings. And this is the difference. You go back to our preseason and offseason conversations of it's the simplest, lowest hanging fruit, but not actually that simple because everyone needs good goaltending. But fixing the goaltending just changes the calculus for so many games. Fans were asking questions for years of like, okay, are we really not going to be good until we have 5 really good defensemen and, 9 really good forwards? Like, no, not actually. You're in a much better position with the players that you have now if you just have a goalie who gives you a chance. And the Red Wings have had that here and there over the years. And I mean, this is still, relatively speaking, a short spell for Gibson from December to now. But if it's continued between him and Talbot where they can get performances like these for the most part, then it gives you some confidence, which isn't an easy thing right now in this Atlantic division. So all the credit to John Gibson, who, we talk about Patrick Kane's 500th. We talk about JVR lighting things up. We talked about, I think the Red Wings looked a lot better from top to bottom in terms of their forwards. Credit to Larkin and Raymond, who have seemed to turn it on. And
Andrew Kopp has found a home on the second line.
Him, DeBrincat, and Kane have just been absolutely stellar. I think the Red Wings' depth forwards against Montreal, too, though they didn't, they weren't all over the score sheet, I thought they had really strong games, and you're seeing them fight for their spots and starting to rebound their play, too. But still, John Gibson deserves the credit to give them the space to do that. So, the Red Wings right now, as of the time of recording, they do indeed lead the Atlantic. Tampa Bay has 3 games in hand and is 1 point behind. So, you expect Tampa Bay with how they've been going. Yet another team who's won 9 straight. The Sabres won 10 straight. The Tampa Bay's 9 and counting right now. So, sure, Tampa Bay can take the lead there. Montreal, that was a huge, huge, huge win over them because Detroit has played one more game than Montreal. But now if Montreal wins their game in hand, they're tied on points, but they have fewer regulation wins. So Detroit has that tiebreaker. And then behind them, the Buffalo Sabres, who have 3 games in hand. And if they win all 3 in regulation, they pass the Red Wings in the standings.
Oh my God.
Look at these records, these last 10 records in the Atlantic.
This might be the greatest week in Buffalo sports history.
There's not a lot to compete with, for sure.
No, the bar, I'm aware the bar is subterranean, but my God.
7-2-1, that's Detroit's last 10. Tampa Bay, 9-1-0. Montreal, 6-2-2. Buffalo, 9-1-0. Toronto, 7-1-2. Boston, 4-4-2. Florida, 4-5-1. Ottawa, 3-6-1 with team statements about some messy non-situation. That team that's the sacrificial lamb for the Atlantic Division. You have the laughingstock Toronto Maple Leafs who have quietly put themselves back in the mix.
If you saw that Ottawa Senators statement and you immediately remembered the Barbara Streisand episode of South Park, you're not alone.
It was such a weird week for that team, but yeah, the Atlantic Division Detroit still has the 4th best record in their last 10 in the Atlantic Division, and they lead and have been 7-2-1 with 3 straight wins.
Just goes to show you can't even take a game off, it feels like at this point. If you're not keeping pace in the Atlantic, you can fall off super, super quickly.
If Buffalo and Detroit end up playing each other in the first round, is any hockey even played, or are they all too busy just high-fiving and hugging each other?
Yeah, that would be tough if the first time those teams make it after long droughts, it's the only other sports city where you're that feels like a sister city to Detroit in terms of just what we've gone through. But now, unfortunately, you must die kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's when we wanted the Lions-Bills Super Bowl, you and I, Brad, it's there would have been a mutual, wow, we both made it, Steve Carell crying gif. We would have stabbed each other by the end of the night.
100%.
But it would have started off quite nice.
Yeah. Paul Rudd, look at us.
Right? Bleeding out in the snow. Look at us. That's actually exactly how Brad and I are going to die, bleeding out in the snow after a knife fight.
Yep.
Evan eating chicken wings in the corner.
Absolutely. We're definitely in Buffalo then.
That's right. You crushed those wings before we started recording at an unholy pace.
I have a problem.
You do. We should.
That's just a preview into what's going to happen on Friday night at Van Andel Arena.
That's right. That's right. That's why the tickets are sold out.
Exactly.
Upcoming, Detroit has 2 games. Monday night against the Carolina Hurricanes, 7 p.m. Eastern in Detroit. Very obviously, that is Retire 91 night. That's the Sergei Fedorov jersey retirement game. And the Buffalo Sabres, the very next night on the road, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back with you on Wednesday. Very quickly on the Carolina game. We're going to talk about it, obviously, next episode too, but huge moment for the Red Wings franchise, for Sergei Fedorov, who you can see it publicly. Everyone's telling me, behind the scenes too, the guy is just so happy and so excited. This is a long time coming. And we had an emergency episode on how important this is. So you will have heard all of this, but just a massive moment that's long overdue. And I think it's closing a chapter and tying a bow in a nice way on something that felt unfinished from the previous era of the Red Wings.
The other nice thing, too, is that they're bringing the band back together. I saw that John Keating's going to be involved in the ceremony somehow. Mick and Ken are going to be, I think Ken described it as masters of ceremony.
That's right.
So it seems like the Red Wings organization is doing right in every regard. They're doing right for the Red Wings history. They're doing right for Sergei Fedorov. They're doing right by the fans. So it's going to be an awesome night. I know everybody's super thrilled. It's long overdue.
One of the most iconic players of his era. I think for my money, when people name, the best 2A players of all time, his name is not brought up nearly enough. The Red Wings have one of the most talented players of all time in Pavel Datsyuk, and he might not even be the greatest Russian on the Red Wings of all time. There's so much that Sergei Fedorov brought to this game in terms of production and success in Detroit and like pure distilled, unadulterated aura. Like that dude just had, that's the definition of drip. How you guys imagine me with my hand-me-down equipment growing up?
He's on the other end of that scale. You're on the bad end, and Sergei Fedorov is absolutely on the other end.
They call it the Fedorov-Hanna scale for a reason.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
In parentheses, derogatory. That's what's coming up for the Red Wings. If you're going to that game, we hope you enjoy it. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we're back, more on the team, trade rumors, and plenty more. Back after this. If you're listening to this, you've definitely watched hockey and probably have played it at some point too. And you know in hockey, when something's off, you usually feel it before you can fully explain it, right? Your timing's a bit weird, your confidence isn't quite there, you start overthinking things instead of just reacting and playing the game. Hair loss can be the same way. It's gradual, it's subtle, and once you notice it, it's hard not to. That's where HIMS comes in. HIMS provides access to licensed medical providers and personalized care for hair loss through a convenient online process that fits your schedule. Instead of guessing what might work or bouncing between options, you get a clear plan based on real treatments. Through HIMS, you can get access to doctor-trusted ingredients that can help stop further hair loss and regrow hair in as little as 3 to 6 months if you're prescribed. Everything's handled online, and the treatment plan is built around your goals, not some generic setup like a dump and chase. No hidden fees, no surprise costs, just personalized care that helps you get back to feeling comfortable and confident, like you're focused on the next shift instead of worrying about what's going on in the background. For simple online access to personalized and affordable care for hair loss, ED, weight loss, and more, visit hims.com/wingedwheel. That's hims.com/wingedwheel for your free online visit. hims.com/wingedwheel. Featured products include compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required. See website for full details, restrictions, and important safety information. Individual results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Welcome back. Trade rumors continue. Let's start with the one that's actually been out there, and then we'll get into one that has opportunity written all over it to see where you guys feel. So we'll start with Rasmus Andersson. And I mean, we said last episode, this is the time of year where a lot's going to be out there, and take it with a grain of salt. But this is just I think I've only seen it on Twitter. From what we've dug into it, we haven't seen anything about Detroit's interest in Rasmus Andersson other than the base level of like most other teams have like checked in to say, what's the deal over the past, how long has he been rumored to leave? Like 2-3 years now?
At least.
There's something out there about, Rasmus Andersson with an extension potentially, and the deal would be a first-round pick and a premium prospect like Danielson. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying as far as we've been able to check, we have no indication that that's the case. And it's not like what we know is the be-all, end-all, so it could be out there for sure. But as far as we can tell, it only exists as a rumor so far. So take all of this with a colossal grain of salt. But if that was the case, Rasmus Andersson, assume a reasonable extension, and the Red Wings are giving up a 2027 first and a prospect like Danielson, pretty premium prospect. How would that make you feel?
I can assume a reasonable extension. Again, with what his reported destinations he would accept a trade to. At the time that was last reported, Detroit was not one of them, which makes me think if he is willing to lean to Detroit, it's probably going to cost him a pretty penny. It's probably going to cost him 7 or 8 years, which I don't love at all. And again, I don't think Rasmus Andersson's a bad defenseman. I think he's a good defenseman. I don't think that in his late 20s, on a 7 or 8 year deal, it's going to age well. And I'm certainly not giving up 2 premium assets for that. Now, is it the worst thing in the world if that's true? No. Like, again, you're still getting a good player, and maybe it's one of those things, okay, well, we know we're getting 4, maybe 5 good years about it, and we'll figure out the rest later. Sure, like, there's definitely some logic to that, and especially with the way the cap's going up, there's going to be ways to unload cap, because teams are going to be flush with it constantly. But I don't love it, given Danielson and a first. That feels like a lot. Now, if he was 26, that's the exact return you're looking for. Like, and you'd be fine giving up.
Yeah, it's that thing where I think it falls into the territory of I'm the same person who's been saying just go out and make a move, even if it's not picture perfect. So if it's a bit more money and he's a bit older or whatever. But you look at it on balance and it would feel like quite a premium in this hypothetical. I do lean towards I don't know that this is necessarily what the return would be, but to play the game, let's say it is, that'd be an overpay. I quite like Rasmus Andersson, but I don't think he's as good as what his market value dictates. That's just naturally how this thing goes. There's a pressure, there's a scarcity for players at his position, and he's going to be, if he gets to unrestricted free agency, then he's going to be able to command a lot of money on a rising cap. That said, even if he isn't as good as everyone's perception of him is, and even if he isn't as good as the return would dictate, he would still be an improvement. And we can't sit here and say, the Red Wings need to make a move to help their team and give them a boost over a very tight Atlantic and finally push this team to the next level. But, that one just makes me feel a bit icky. So I think anytime a potential deal makes me feel a bit uncomfortable and I'm like, I have a few reasons why this might not seem the best. If it's in that grayish area, I kind of lean towards, okay, yeah, do it. Because at 2027 first, if all goes well,
32nd pick overall.
That's right. Maybe by then they do a rapid expansion. That's a 33rd pick.
It could be.
But ideally that pick is in the 20s. Like if all goes well for your organization, you're not giving them a lottery pick. Danielson's a pretty premium piece though, and that'd be hard to do, but at some point you have to make hard decisions. So I don't love it. I don't hate it in this very, very, very hypothetical situation.
Where I basically stopped thinking deeper on it is the fact that he shoots right. And I've already said this a million times. You're paying Seider. He'll be a bargain deal. I already think it's a bargain deal. You got to pay Edvinsson. That's going to be a big contract. ASP is also looking like it's going to be, that's very TBD.
Down the line, I don't think.
And then you're going to pay Rasmus Andersson in and around that as well. Like, you're locking up a lot of money on defensemen. Now, if Rasmus Andersson was a left-handed defenseman, I'm very intrigued. I'm probably in the yes column rather than the no column. But I just think, I don't think right shot defense is the biggest area of need for the Red Wings right now. I truly believe they need a premium left-handed defense, and they need to look at the forward market for somebody who can provide some serious production.
Well, why don't we get into the next player before I give my response to that? Because the next thing is Dougie Hamilton, who very much is on the market now in a weird way. The Devils are doing that whole, okay, if you're not going to accept a trade that we like despite your trade conditions, we're sitting you kind of thing. Pierre LeBrun reached out to Dougie Hamilton's agent, J.P. Barry, who responded, Dougie was informed today that he will not be playing now that Kovacevic is back in the lineup. In our view, this decision is all about business rather than his game right now. Singling him out seems very calculated at this stage. Dougie has a 10-team trade list, and there have been efforts to trade him going back to the draft last year. We've made it clear to the Devils that we will consider teams outside our list in other creative ways to get to a team that is mutually acceptable. So basically, the Devils want to deal him to a team outside of his 10-team list. Dougie's like, I don't want to go to whatever team or teams, in case it was multiple trades that they have hypothetically put forward.
What was the one that was out there that he blocked one to San Jose at the last draft?
And he's like, yeah, I'm not doing that, but I will think of other teams outside my 10 team. I'll help you. But at the end of the day, this is my clause. This is my contract that I negotiated for.
Once again, GMs are upset that players are exercising the rights that they negotiated for. They negotiated with these GMs to have modified no trade clauses, no move clauses, whatever it may be. It feels a little spiteful to sit him out of the lineup just because he's exercising those rights.
And sometimes it's marginal with players, and you can make an argument for Hamilton or anyone else that yeah, it was the right move to sit him. But I don't love it from a workers' rights kind of thing in terms of what the NHL and the NHLP should be advocating for. I don't love the end around that no matter what clause you have, the NHL teams have a trump card, which is, okay, then we're not playing you. It's just not great.
That's my dream.
It's your dream. Yeah.
Paid to not work.
$9 million.
And I get to eat unlimited hot dogs.
That's fantastic.
Sign me up.
It's only better if you're, injured. You don't even have to show up to the building.
Oh.
And so that aside, Dougie Hamilton, $9 million a year for 2 seasons after this one. Another right shot defenseman, and he's a very, like, that guy has talent. Like, he's a talented player, you can't deny it, but he's a very kind of up and down player. 32 years old. Would you take a flyer on Dougie Hamilton from the Devils who just want to offload the cap in the roster spot?
This feels much preferable to me than Rasmus Andersson because a couple reasons. One, it's only 2.5 years left. So even if this thing goes off the rails, yeah, it sucks and it hurts in the short term, but at least that's manageable. If Andersson falls off a cliff and you're stuck with 6 years left on it, that's a bigger problem. 2, from reading the tea leaves on this one, I don't think the return is going to be quite nearly as significant as it would for Rasmus Andersson.
Is there even going to be a return? He's owed $7.4 million in signing bonuses in
If
July.
New Jersey's retaining nothing, then yeah, you might get him for like a mid-round pick.
Yeah.
Now, if you get New Jersey to retain some, then you're going to have to pay for the retention. Don't know what New Jersey's preference is there, but most teams it's to not retain anything. I don't know. I feel like this is worth the flyer. And trying to think, like, over the next couple of years, Edvinsson is the only big internal contract the Red Wings have to sign, and they are flush with cap space. Doesn't feel ideal to be paying what would maybe be your second or third pairing right shot defenseman $9 million. The Red Wings could certainly absorb it, and he's a definite upgrade on Bernard Docker. So if the acquisition cost is low, and yeah, you got 2 years of we'll see. I don't know. I really like the timeline of this all for the Red Wings.
It's a net improvement on your team, and I look at the whole, okay, then he's going to be the highest paid player, and he's not going to be nearly good enough to be making that money. But that's the kind of thinking that you need to have more so in a flat cap world, more so if you're a team that's expected to be in the basement and you shouldn't be paying that kind of money for those guys. The Red Wings are now in a position where you can take on weird situations and pay guys more because of what the circumstances dictated, because it is an opportunity to get a net gain for your team. In this league with 32 teams, more on the way, talent dilution is at an all-time high, and the rules are really restrictive in the NHL. It's hard to get good players in free agency, and they're not at the age where it's optimal to be signing them for 7 years. And it's teams don't trade in general. This isn't the NBA. You don't have a wild trade. So if you can piece together moves that aren't perfect but still really good, you can get creative and do it there. And Hamilton's not having a fantastic year, but again, I still think that's a guy who can help you out, and there's not a lot of competition on the right side behind Mo Seider. Even if he plays third pair, better than what they have now.
It's lower risk, and I think the acquisition cost is obviously less as well, right? Like, Calgary's looking for premium pieces for Rasmus Andersson because they have an asset that they want, but they would let go for the right price. Whereas with Dougie Hamilton, New Jersey wants to get out of that and free up the cap, end the bad relationship, and move on. And the player has a 10-team trade list. So for me, I'm far more interested in this because if it, like you guys said, it's 2 years, 2.5 years. If it doesn't work out, you know, you're not tied to it like you would a Rasmus Andersson contract should it go south. And like Dougie Hamilton plays a minute munching game, and we always talk about how it'd be nice to have some more horses on the back end who can play 20 plus minutes a game and just reduce the load a little bit for the guys above them so that they can go out and continue to take their game to another level. So Dougie Hamilton makes sense to me. My other concern is this is now the third team that he's sort of been run out on. Maybe let's do some digging just to make sure that there is going to be a fit. I know it's only going to be 2 more years. You don't have to extend him, but let's just do our due diligence because at the end of the day, it still is $9+ million a season tied up on a player.
No, the museums in Detroit are good. He'll fit in.
Yeah, but the museums were good in probably, well, maybe not Calgary. I've been to Calgary. I don't even think they have museums. But, you know, he goes to Carolina. It's a smaller market. Gets run out of there. New Jersey is an up-and-coming team. He's a big piece of that. Now things have gone stale there. I'm not saying that there is a Dougie Hamilton issue. I'm just saying that there's a repeated pattern, and definitely be sure on things on that front. As you know, the Red Wings are an up and coming team. They're trying to build a culture. And I'm not saying Dougie Hamilton is a bad culture guy. I'm just saying
you can't have
be
anchors.
sure of this.
Yeah. No, it's a really good point. You want to make sure, like, you have to protect your progress, and you can't have anchors, and no matter who you're bringing in, you have to filter that out. Absolutely.
But there's risks no matter what, because you've got Dougie Hamilton coming in as a possible locker room problem, but only for 2.5 years, versus 8 years of Rasmus Andersson in and around those scooters.
That's right. Yeah, that's a liability.
Yeah, geez, we can't have that.
We're gonna have to build a Rasmus Andersson only crosswalk right across Woodward just for him.
Catherine will be able to use that one too.
Then the girls can use the scooters on the Wing Wheel podcast nights. Yeah, and with Hamilton, it's like, I think there's the injury thing for sure, and I think it's fair to say
I'd take a flyer on Dougie Hamilton.
But he's his game comes and goes. He seems like to be a temperamental player,
and if he's on your third pair, that's fine.
Yes,
like if he's gonna come and go. It feels like the Red Wings' third pair has gone for
8 years.
8 years. So, like, he's big. Like, I think he's like 6'5", 6'6". He's a big guy. He doesn't play all that big, but he takes up a lot of space out there, and he would be a vast improvement over the bottom pairing right now. So, I lean much more on the yes column than I do with Rasmus Andersson on this one.
Well, I mean, and then Eisman will round that out by bringing in Logan Stanley on the left side, and bango.
I'm a 10 out of 10 yes in that one. And then, that guy's going to win the Rocket Richard if he gets out of Winnipeg.
Brady Tkachuk. Watch it. If the Red Wings... I'm not going to say anything right now, actually, about the playoff race. I would not be so stupid to say that, because everything is so insanely...
Yeah, that's the Eastern Conference right now. The Red Wings are in first place in the Atlantic Division, and there's not a Red Wings fan on the face of the earth who's comfortable they're even going to make the playoffs.
And they're reasonable for being uncomfortable.
Exactly.
That's the trade rumors as they are today. You know, what's real, what's unconfirmable, and an opportunity with Dougie Hamilton. We'll see if Steve Yzerman jumps on any of this. More quick news from the Red Wings organization. Proud member of the first team all-time dudes list, Dominic Shine. Unbelievable force for the Grand Rapids Griffins, who continue to be the best team in the AHL in like modern history. Gets a 2-year, 2-way deal with the Red Wings. So congrats to Shiner. That is an awesome, awesome reward for him, and extremely well-deserved.
Literally the hardest person to dislike in hockey, I think.
Yeah, I would have to agree. So well-deserved. So congratulations to Dominic Shine. Jumping into NHL and international hockey news, Max posted, after the Philip Broberg contract came up, Max posted, I thought, a good point of Philip Broberg's 6-year, $8 million per year contract is a interesting potential comp, at least somewhat, for a Simon Edvinsson contract if it's not an 8-year extension. So I thought that was another good number for the Red Wings. Personally, I think that continues to tie down the Edvinsson number from getting too far out of hand. I really would have a hard time seeing that number on a max term extension being much higher than 9, maybe mid-9s, but you can go as low as the mid-8s as well, and it offers some different constructions in play. Our preference is always maximum term. Just sign him, the cap's going up, and just lock it down. Look how much we're enjoying the Raymond contract, and all those Siders is 1 year shorter, the Sider contract. But still, it was a good comp, I think, for a potential Edvinsson deal.
Yeah, every top 4 defenseman that signs for under, call it 9.5 right now, just feels like it's a huge win in the Red Wings ledger board.
I would like to see that Edvinsson deal done, because then it answers a lot of questions of like, who can they target in free agency, and more importantly, trade, where you'll have more opportunity. And it gives that negotiation less strain, because imagine you're Simon Edvinsson saying, okay, well, you just signed or traded for this guy who's going to play below me in the lineup for, 9.4. Well, I'm not taking under 9.5 now, kind of thing. And it's just one of those things where it's like, that's rich of me to say. I'm sure Steve Yzerman would also like the Simon Edvinsson deal done. Simon Edvinsson and his agent probably see the noted financial advantage to not rushing into anything.
It's only getting more expensive, as we've seen this year.
Yeah. And then in international hockey news, they tested the ice in Milan.
I heard there was a big hole.
Apparently it was a small hole.
Oh, I guess it depends who you ask.
It's fairly common though, because you see the refs go out there with the water bottle and the puck. Lots, even in the NHL, it happens. I don't think that's the biggest deal. One of the players was saying too, he's like, yeah, it was actually pretty good, way better than I was expecting.
Now, the real question is, did the media overblow this, or did the media force the Italians to move faster and get it into a semi-finished state?
The latter, without a doubt in my mind. We've both been to Italy. We know.
Yeah, they're like, oh my, fine, I guess. We'll only take 4 breaks this morning.
That's
down from 6.
Which started at 11 a.m.
Yes.
We were in Tuscany. We were staying at this place, and we did like a little, we're going to treat ourselves, just turn our brains off thing for a day. And there was a pool, bar, cafe area. And this guy, it didn't open until 10:30. And we were wanting to get an espresso, the most basic thing that you can get in Italy. Didn't open until 10:30. 10:45 we go there. This guy was leaving on break. I'm not kidding.
Well, it was stressful getting the cafe ready for the day.
And he looked revolted to see us walking towards him with hope in our eyes that we'd get caffeine. He's like, what are you doing awake? He's like, go walk into the pool. Don't come back.
That's so funny.
Yeah. But yeah, the test game apparently went well. I think what matters now, among many other things, because there's the facilities, the arena has like 3,000 fewer seats or something. I don't care what anyone says. You can tell the neutral zone is 3 feet smaller. Like, you can see it. It's like 3.5 feet.
It looks so small.
Yes. The players they'll do just fine, but it's like...
That's the Tom Wilson Expressway right there.
The expressway...
Some poor Slovenian kid
emphasis on the
going
express.
Still, they're lucky there's 3 less rows of stands. So Tom Wilson only throws someone into the 6th row rather than the 14th. Like,
unbelievable.
Some poor kid is gonna go through that small neutral zone and just get lit up, and it's gonna be. I hope this doesn't happen, but I just have this bad feeling.
There's gonna be the first time that someone gets absolutely clocked there. Evan's Twitter mentions are gonna light up like a Christmas tree.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Evan's gonna be with the brightest eyes of anyone else watching that.
That's why Sam Bennett didn't make the team. They're like, this neutral zone's going to be tiny. We can only take Tom Wilson. Otherwise, everyone's going to be suspended. I'm sorry, Sam.
Sam Bennett, you crash the crease. Tom Wilson crashes into guys in the neutral zone. That's better for this one.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, how's it going to stand up to multiple games? Like, there's nobody who plays a game that's harder on the ice than NHL players who are bigger, heavier. They dig in deeper, more impact on the ice in terms of everything multiple times a day. It's not about how that one test game goes. It's great that they, the ice felt fast and everything, but it's gonna, I still have some worry about how that'll hold up. So we'll see. And then they have a lot of arena left to finish. Although it does seem to be they'll have something serviceable by the time the puck drops.
Certainly looks like an arena.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was going to be way worse. So when they released those photos, I was like, I'm ready. I'm good for this now.
Yeah, fine enough. At the end of the day, I don't think we're going to be talking about this. I think we're going to be talking about the unreal stories from the tournament, and someone will mention this, hey, remember when Italy almost didn't have an arena for the hockey tournament? We'd be like, oh yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take another quick break here. When we're back, the final segment on the Winged Wheel podcast. Back after this.
We're going to overtime.
Overtime is brought to you by our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast. If you want to support the show, again, the bonus episodes, the Discord, the giveaways, all of that and lots more. And if you're a contributor for long enough, I might randomly send you Evan's home address so you can mail him things. It's really funny. Also, there's going to be a housekeeping item section regarding Winged Wheel podcast nights at the LCA, updates to the Winged Wheel podcast website, a call for help, and some other items in there after overtime, so stay tuned to hear that. But for now, let's jump into some questions and comments from our Patreon supporters. This one from Slim Smitty Cards says, with Fedorov's number 91 going to the Raptors Monday, when did you all realize you would be Detroit Red Wings fans? Mine was playing NHL 96 on the Sega Genesis, and the names of Konstantinov, Fedorov, Yzerman sounded a lot better than Sakic, Waugh, Forsberg. That's saying something, because those are good hockey names on the Colorado side.
I was too young to remember why I started cheering for the Red Wings. They've been my team as long as I can remember. So I genuinely have no idea what, 4, 5, 6-year-old Brad was thinking. Probably just a cool logo.
Yeah, I inherited it. My dad, when my parents came to North America, like my dad learned hockey. He knew that was the sport in Canada and immediately put his kids in hockey. So I was 3.5 on skates. And thank God, because Windsor's half and half, Toronto, Detroit at the time. You get the odd sprinkle of Montreal and Boston in there, but especially at the time, it was pretty split. And thank God my dad chose the Red Wings. And so I was a Red Wings fan for as long as I had conscious thought. And that was the same thing. My dad loved the game immediately, got into it, watched the Red Wings, loved the way they played. And thanks, Dad.
Little Evan was a big fan of violence. So growing up in the 90s, the Red Wings were, one of the top teams. They had a few pretty iconic moments. So yeah, I must have gravitated that way.
Although, who's your favorite player of all time, Evan?
Nick Lidstrom. The most violent man to ever grace the NHL ice.
The man who gave us the most courteous dismissal in person when we were talking to him ever.
Yes.
The juxtaposition of talking to Homer and then talking to Nick Lidstrom was funny that day.
I've never been shut down so politely in my life.
I was like, I should feel like I got dumped in high school, but that was so kind.
Yes.
And we were trying to talk to him about, when we had him on the podcast. Talking
he
about that.
looked at us like he had never heard of that. He had not heard of us in his life.
Yeah, he was like, even if I do remember, thank you, boys.
That was one of the best moments of my life.
Yeah, by far. Took my wedding ring off right then and there. Next question here from Jeremy Dahl says, man, what a performance. How much does it suck that if we were in the West, we would be almost guaranteed a playoff spot? It is really nice to finally have a lot of Yzerman's patience and moves pay off. What would you point to as the start of the Red Wings' rise? I would call the drafting of Mo. I think that has to be it, right? Like getting a home run grand slam in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs, bases loaded, full count. That's what they did with Mo Seider. And Yzerman did that, mere months after being hired. So that has to be the beginning in my books.
And
I think in retrospect, that's true. I think in the moment, people would say otherwise because I think it was very sort of divisive.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
As we
Two
were.
idiots were on YouTube.
It's amazing how one idiot dodges all the big moments.
I know.
This could get clipped. We're not showing up for this one.
I dodged the incriminating ones. You two should know when you're alone together recording something. I could go a million ways. That you cannot say anything that's going to get you clipped.
You only started showing up consistently when we knew who the good players in the Red Wings were.
That sounds like a you problem.
The other moment that Evan is referencing is when Brad and I, after the Patrick Kane overtime winner at the United Center, we sat there and we gave them the clip of, this team's going to make the playoffs. We should have, unfortunately,
they were 8 points clear of 9th place in January. That collapse.
That was February.
That still gets underrated for how big of a collapse that was.
I take more blame for that than you guys should because I should have been there to
that's right,
rein you guys back in.
We're not.
It's on me. That one's on me.
Whenever people are like, you should unleash Evan a bit more, I'm like, you don't understand who pulls the strings on this show.
This podcast would be so unhinged.
Anyways, but yeah, what would you call the start? In the moment, what would you call the start of the rebuild?
That's so tough because it's hard to pinpoint one catalyst to really kick it off. I do think that is in truth the moment. Maybe it's even just slightly before when Steve Yzerman's hired as GM. I know there's still a lot of question marks about the whole roster construction and when the gas is really going to get hit. But, Ken Holland really set this team back in over his last 2-3 drafts. Maybe that's the moment. I think there's been a lot of up and down, but if you took the slope, it's been positive gains since the Seider draft.
Motown Seider says, can you go back in time? When did the Detroit fan base know Zadina was a bust? And rooting for Kasper, does he have a whole year to figure things out, or are we getting to a dangerous point in how the year has gone? So Zadina, I think we all knew, even though we were kind of afraid to admit it, was a bust when he had a stretch of games where he came into the lineup and he scored at a really good pace. It was like a 20-goal pace, and that was like, it was real rookie games. You're like, man, if this is his baseline and you're just seeing his raw tools here, it's gonna go well. And then when he got a consistent roster spot, but the time and space went away, the classic sophomore slump thing where teams are game planning for him and he starts to overthink things. And then there was never an up and down. It only trended downwards, it felt like. And it was, he would do things well on the ice. Like he'd move the puck up the ice well. He'd make every decision really well until he got anywhere near the net. And it's like he just pressed a button and became a mouth breather and just made the absolute wrong decision in brand new and interesting ways every single game. Like he just could never execute or close the deal. And when you're a guy who's brought in for your shot, and your shot you can no longer get off and make a factor in the game. And if you have underrated playmaking, but you can no longer make good decisions in the high danger areas, there wasn't much left to him. Then he became a dime a dozen, talented but not quick enough small winger, and off he went. So the fan base admitted it much later than it was true, but I think everyone knew when that sophomore slump continued forever. And now that I say that out loud, that scares you. But Marco Kasper doesn't play a similar game, though. That's a sliver of hope you hang on to, right?
Yeah, he'll at least be useful in other ways, but man, for a top 10 pick, does he need to get his offense going?
I think he has more still. He has more of a sample size of doing it than Zadina did, but it's not impossible that he doesn't end up the same way. It would be a very different path. They're very different players, but he has to get it going. I've seen things that I like from Kasper of late. I think the process is starting to come back into place, but you need more than just a few games here and there. He needs to build on this. It would be a dangerous thing to go the rest of the season without figuring it out and hoping that it works out next season. That would be hard to come back from, because then he'd have more of a sample in his career where he was underwhelming than he was impressive. And that shouldn't be the case with a player like Kasper. Last name Sider, first name Mo Dickens. Really wants me to read that out. It says, no one else has done it yet, so I'll bite the bullet. Any interest in Kotkaniemi? What would a potential trade for him look like? So Kotkaniemi, rumored to be available from Carolina. He's signed through 2030 with a $4.82 million cap hit. He's a career 0.4 points per game player. This season has 2 goals, 4 assists in 25 games played.
So almost $5 million a year, who right now would be a healthy scratch on the Red Wings. No.
The number doesn't scare you as much as it used to, right? 4.82 isn't the same as it was when they signed him, but you would have to think or know that he would, because even if he's a half point per game player,
he ain't good.
The term and the money, I don't know.
Well, this year he's what, 800,000 a point?
Yes.
No. Oh, and don't worry, he's got that physical edge though, right? Right?
I think if the Red Wings want to be like Carolina, they already see where Kotkaniemi would fit in their lineup when they are like
really
Carolina.
Good point, yeah.
He won't be in the lineup. So for me, he doesn't bring the non-production elements to the game that you would need if you're not producing. That's going to be a pass for me.
Trebucket Loader says, let's go back to trade talks. What would the Wings' most reasonable offer for Jason Robertson be? Or he said Robertson, the good one, be that would make Dallas consider without hampering the Wings' future. I'll open by saying...
Without hampering the Wings' future?
Yeah, that's going
to... What do you think you're giving up for him?
It's going to hamper the Wings' future.
No, the future is not hampered because you have Jason Robertson.
Yes.
That's what you do.
Yeah. There's not a prospect in the Red Wings system who's going to be better than Jason Robertson is. So you trade whatever the hell you have to.
It's not quite the Quinn Hughes return. Although
damn close. Well,
with an extension, it's probably going to be
but
about
Quinn
that.
Hughes is an Olympian. Jason Robertson can't even make the U.S. team. Bill Guerin himself said he doesn't Jason Robertson doesn't check, doesn't play defense, so
And he's
a lot of question marks there.
obviously worse than Brock Nelson and J.T. Miller. And what would you give up for them at this point, really?
Mid-round picks, B-level prospects.
Let's trade for J.T. Miller and who are the Evander Kane and just like
Dougie Hamilton.
That's right. Yeah. Poor Dougie Hamilton.
I know.
The guy just likes looking at artwork and he's being dragged in with some of the most problematic players in the league. God, we're terrible. Yeah, Jason Robertson, think of the Quinn Hughes offers and you're in that range. I'm not including Edvinsson because, again, like at the end of the day, you have to do the math on what this team can afford to lose, but I'm giving up a lot.
You'd have to give up some prospects who are pretty ready to be in the NHL,
Well,
I think.
If you're not giving up any of your premium current roster players, your first round pick and your 2 best prospects are going.
It might have to be multiple firsts, although they would want players. I would say, like, without knowing specifically what Dallas is looking for, you do try to protect ASP, right? Because the whole thing
because you're acquiring a forward,
That's
so
right,
you can't lose the defenseman, even though value-wise he would be fine to give up in this trade, but they do not have anything coming that could replace him. So if you're giving up roster forwards, you're looking at Danielson, Casper, so on and so forth. You're not touching Raymond or Larkin or DeBrincat.
they'd want like it's one of Danielson or Casper if they even like need the center. Max Plant's gone. One of like Carter Bear probably. Like it's quite a bit. If it comes with an extension, it's quite a bit. So it's not a cheap player to acquire. Kelly D says, with Ottawa and Montreal fresh in memory, in your opinion, does Montreal's arena have the best game atmosphere in the NHL, excepting Detroit? And speaking of Ottawa, do they have the craziest online fans? No, the answer to both is actually Montreal. It's just that Montreal fans, the craziest ones, they don't speak English, and so they won't show up in your algorithm.
Out of your algorithm.
Yeah, but the Montreal fans are like,
There's a class action lawsuit against that stanchion the other night.
Yeah, they burned it last night. They always burn something in the streets as a ritual after every game.
Right.
And in preseason, they limit it to like in arena, parking lots.
Yeah.
They're not nuts. But no, Montreal fans, that is an unbelievable venue. Like if you ever have an opportunity to go see a game at the Bell Center, try to do it when Montreal's good. They've been bad for a while. But when Montreal's on, that arena absolutely is rocking.
One of my buddies is a diehard Habs fan. Him, his brothers, and his dad are, and they went to a playoff. I don't know. When they went to see the Habs at the Bell Center when they're in the playoffs, and they just said it was like a religious experience for them. They said it was unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
And hopefully when Detroit makes the playoffs, it'll be similar for the Red Wings, because I know when they built the LCA, the Bell Center was part of the template, how they wanted to have that arena and the fans over the ice.
So, I mean, that's the answer. The Ottawa thing we actually didn't even talk about in the show. I don't want to give it too much air because it's just such a weird, gross thing. But the long and short of it was there's a random rumor that came from like a brand new Twitter account that made accusations of why Linus Ullmark was away from the team. He's non-roster right now. And I mean, Red Wings fans will have very familiar feelings about that. There have been multiple players who've gone non-roster in recent years, I think. But there's some rumor about like, the players' families and their wives, and it's just a ugly, messy thing. And the Sens released a statement, and I get it. Like, I get why they did it, because it's that organization, that fan base has been through so much. And for the players, it's got to suck to constantly have this crap thrown at you. Not speaking to the veracity of anything, like you have to come out and just, nip that in the bud. The internet's the internet and people ran with it. And I actually do understand the frustration from the organization and Brady Tkachuk, but it's like, man, that organization cannot have a single calm day. Like it just feels like it's constantly a tire fire. Wild. I mean, if they winning cures everything, although we'll see what even happens with Linus Ullmark now, who, I don't know. That's a messy situation. Samuel Soderholm says, thought experiment. You've talked about possible trade targets for defense. What would be the trade equivalent of the Zadina draft where it looks good at first but turns out to be an absolute disaster? We're doing a lot of time travel today.
Kind of feels like Rasmus Andersson.
Yeah, I mean, that's front of mind. Maybe. Joey Jojo Shabadoo says, what are the biggest priorities at the deadline? The bottom 6 is playing great. The bottom 4 is good enough, and goaltending is in a great spot. Who would you target, and how would you get them?
The bottom 4 is not good enough. That bottom pair has been a dumpster fire.
Outside of the wish list, which is top 4 left shot defenseman or top 6 winger, I want that bottom pair on either side solidified. Like we're talking about Logan Stanley right now, and call it Dougie Hamilton or whoever on the right side. Like, just they're not surviving. They're barely getting by based off of having a guy who can play nearly 30 minutes a night and strategically deploying players. It's not an ideal situation. Named after the perfect human says, man, I wish we could still get brawls in the NHL like that kids' intermission game for the Hershey Bears. They were all letting them fly, and my God, the goalies were absolute menaces too. Absolute cinema. What happened there?
The kids are going to be all right.
Oh my God, that was like, I just imagine you with like a conductor's, what are those, sticks? Wand, yeah. Like, just, it's as if you willed that whole thing into existence.
I'm so happy.
Did we see Sully's future in there?
No, because that's not a golf course.
That's right, yeah. 2 best moments, I think, has to be the goalie doing a big skating circle, and you thought he was leaving the fray, but it turns out he just wanted to get the speed to absolutely
build the momentum.
Truck stick the other kid. And I'm like, God, I hate to see the CTE start. Like, that's not good. Like, I feel bad for the kid, but I'm like, that goalie was just out there. That was pure blood sport. That was love of the game. Didn't care what was happening. And then the kids were so into it that they started wailing on their own teammate on the ice.
Hell yeah, I love that.
That was my favorite moment, just because you had to do the double take. It's like, wait, is that kid punching his teammate in the head?
Yeah.
Oh, he is. Good for him.
What percentage of the dads were just laughing as that was happening?
99.
It is strange that there were no adults around, but yeah, it was hilarious.
Last one here. Max contract Connor Thick David says, which team is going to be this year's 2019 Blues coming into the new year? Pick anyone in the East. I don't care who.
The Toronto Maple Leafs.
New Jersey seems like the best team near the basement.
How many teams in the Eastern Conference right now, Evan, has a below 500 points percentage?
Just Ottawa?
Wrong. Just Columbus.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Ottawa, through all this, losing 4 straight, still has a 511 points percentage.
That is absurd.
So dumb. Meanwhile, 1, 2, 3, 4 teams in the West. All right, we're going to take one more break here. When we're back, we're going to wrap up the show back after this. All right, welcome back. So, Winged Wheel Podcast Night with the Grand Rapids Griffins, Saturday, January 17th. Tickets are sold out, all done. As we said, once the tickets are gone, they're gone. So I appreciate another sellout crowd. I think this was a 3rd year running. Unbelievable. For those of you who want to come see us beforehand on Friday, we're going to be at the game at Van Andel. And starting at 4 p.m., we're going to actually be at the Grayson store in Grand Rapids. So we're going to be hanging out there. You can come do a Grayson hat with Detroit Red Wings or Grand Rapids Griffins patches. You can kind of press your own hat. We'll also have a Winged Wheel Podcast merch to give out there. I believe there's going to be a bar as well. So
yeah, Sully's going to be bartending.
That's all. That's right. He's a menace with those triple pours too.
Yes, he
so
is.
It's going to be a good time. So.
Sully will be mixing the drinks. Meek and Hank will be the primary consumers of said drinks.
Yeah. And the good thing is Hank can fight police real well. So.
Oh yeah, we're perfectly safe in there. That's not getting shut down for anything.
That's right. And then we can all head over to the game together. So for those of you who want to see us, Winged Wheel Podcast Night at the LCA. Saturday, March 21st is the next one. The tickets are live. Link will be in the description, or go to wingedwheelpodcast.com/Red Wings. Get your tickets, especially the gondola. They do go fast. And then finally, we are doing some updates to the Winged Wheel Podcast website. Long overdue. So first go to wingedwheelpodcast.com/blog and check out Prashant's most recent post. We'll put the link in the description. He had a really great write-up with data from SportLogic, who we recently partnered with. And he is going to have a really good write-up there on the Red Wings slow starts and the numbers behind it and what has to change. And additionally, if you are at all proficient in either site migration or you are really proficient in WordPress and things like that, we are piecing some things together and we want to make sure that this goes well and there's minimal downtime. So if this is what you do and you're at all willing or have the time to help, just shoot us an email, wingedwheelpodcast@gmail.com or pod@wingedwheelpodcast.com, whichever it may be. All right. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. Thank you to all of our sponsors of the Winged Wheel Podcast, to all of our listeners, new and old, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast if you want to support us. And if you want to help us out, but Patreon's not for you, just wherever you're getting this podcast, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, leave a thumbs up, a rating, a review, the heart, share the show with a friend. All of those really do help us out. To our name level supporters on Patreon, we could not do this without you. Arjun Shankar, Aikfer, THL Champ, Samuel Soderholm, Thick David, Rain Dano, Below Average Ball Hockey Goalie, Matthew M. Rice, Thick Darby Q, Sea Lion, Detroit Style Deep Dish Insider, Bingo Bango, Hassam Al-Qassem, Asher Killian, Kaylin Wood, Alex Toger, That's What I Appreciate About You, Derek Enstam, Matt McKay, Andy Hardcore, Sam Bankson, Citizen High Five, R.A., Aaron Hudson, Admiral Matt S. The Cheesebag Navy, The El Cato, Stephen Ortlieb, Jonathan Miller, Give Blood Fight Probert, DJ Denton, Carl, Brutanen Nanowski, Jay Gollum, John Ingalls, Thick David, Let's Go Red Wings, Connor Scovey, Adam Zuiza, Adam Rose, I Miss Pew Suter, Steve R., Hockeytown Matt, Mr. Kuzi, Chaotic, Monkey, Craig Kibble, Eyes Are Playing, Stan, Clip Clop Nene, Podgy 713, Unapologetic Gibson Truther, Griffin Not From Grand Rapids, Marty, Kazi the OG13, Jeff Pridemore, Eric Hill, Butts Carlton, Best James Bond, Beer League Legend, Alec, Mark Hernandez, Slim Smitty Cards, Grand Rapids Girly, Anna Sleeman, William, Mike Asher, August, Brian Munn, Improved But Flawed, Chris 99 Jones, Putting on the Moritz, Trevor Centerfit, Adams Red Wings Takes, Kurt Chin, Adam Ernie Slander, General Andy Bohan of the Cheesebag Army, Quaz, Dylan Larkin Trade Sacrifice, Antonio Gracias, Matt Keeler, Linda Hull, Connor Leighton, Osgood, Better Best, FTP, oh that's right, the Packers blew it, Josh Yelton, Jeremiah Dobo, Brad Simmons, Jaron Fick, Bex, the Hodag, Daddy Pastor Jake, the 50 Shades of Grace, Maximilian, Commander Ben Baron, the Cheeseback Space Force, Sandin-Pellikka, Pet Pelican, Griffey Boy, JM Rhapsody, Frank Stanley, Rosie, Posey, that other guy, Pucking Puck, Carl Thames, Nerno, the Hat 123, Stephen, A. Ron, Corey Prida, All Motor No Hands, Gene Sullivan, Stinky, Britches, James Pridemore, Upernadian, Drop the Puck, Eric Nance, and Stanislavski, Jim, Bellingham Massive Balls, Wings Fan in St. Louis, Scott, Lucas Raitmond, Cops, Gump Lip, Trent Thorough, Grepsky, Evan Beckner, Return of Jambo, C.E. Hayes, Finney to the Rafters, Jacob Marsh, Falkness, Fight Night at the Joe, Axel Sandy Pelican, The Octopi's Ninth Leg, Finney the Pooh, and your second favorite patron. Thank you all so very much. We will see you after 91 is in the rafters.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to visit wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you'll find links to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find ways to support the show, like Patreon, official podcast merchandise, and more. And don't forget to follow us on X at Winged Wheel Pod, at Ryan Hanna, WWP, at Brad Crisco, and at Hockeytown Evan, as well as Winged Wheel Podcast on Instagram.